What up, free bosses? I'm Ian and I'm here with Keith Graveldinger, and in this video you're going to learn how to be as efficient as possible being a remote worker. So Keith, thanks for jumping on this video with me and dropping some knowledge to some people.
Thank you, my pleasure. Been watching your stuff, loving it. What up, Free Boss Nation? Glad you got Graveldinger right. That was very impressive. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Thanks. So you are currently a remote worker right now, right?
Correct, yes.
So how did you become a remote worker? Because you were working in retail before.
Yes, yep. I was working in retail for a national shoe manufacturer, and I always wanted to have a more flexible schedule. And I had been asking my boss to have a job where I could actually get out and travel and work remotely, and there was never an opportunity to do that within my corporate structure. But then I asked them if I could just be given the shot. So they gave me a little job. It was almost, I wouldn't even call it an internship. They gave me a little bit of pay to travel and to work remotely from my home and do a little bit of side jobs for the company. And when I started doing that, by taking upon this extra job on top of my current job, it was almost like a volunteer, but I was paid for it.
Oh, okay.
So I took that upon myself. I created the job almost as a volunteer position, and I started to do it, and I just took it like it was the greatest job possible. I put everything into it. My friends, my girlfriend at the time was like, "Why are you putting so much effort into this when your other job, you're making more money at it?" But I was looking at it as down the line. Like, I wanted to succeed at this little part-time job within my job because I wanted to prove that I could be successful at it.
Right.
And because of that, because I put so much energy into it, so much enthusiasm, and it was, they were getting reports back and they could see the effects that I was making on the job, the sales market. And so I started creating a name for myself that way. And all of a sudden, another job opened up that you could work remotely in another company, and somebody in my company that had worked with me recommended me, and I got that job. And ever since then, I've been working remotely from home, but traveling. So I travel all across the southeastern United States now, so it's opened up so many opportunities, but it was basically sprung upon me because I took the initiative to ask to create a new job.
It sounds like what you did. So you sacrificed and made compromises in the short term because you saw the long-term vision, and you hustled hard in the short term. And now, as a long term, I mean, you've been working remote for how many years now?
Almost 6 years.
And how would you say you like working remote versus you liked, how do you like working remote versus the other way in retail?
And I gotta tell you, you never know something until you experience it. And ever since I left working, retail, it can be from 9 till 9 at night sometimes. And that aspect, I enjoyed it, but once I got out of it, I could never go back, and that kind of scares me because it's such a rewarding, intoxicating feeling. I'm traveling all across the country. I work from home. I make my own schedule, and I know other people in my industry how making your own schedule and working remotely can sometimes, that can be a demise of some people if you don't utilize your time correctly. But I've learned and taught myself to be as efficient as possible and not to buy into the possible pitfalls. And you got to look at the opportunities, and that's what I've been doing, is being as efficient as possible with my time, and it's incredibly important.
Well, that's good. You made a transition there to how we can be as efficient as possible. So as a remote worker, what are some of the ways that you time manage the best way that you can?
I mean, to be honest with you, relationships, I think, are one of the most crucial things that you can do when you work remotely. Because if you're going into an office or at a regular 9-to-5 work job that you're going in, you're around people constantly, and you don't realize that you're making a little conversation, you're having a cup of coffee, you're at the water cooler, and even though you're working 9 hours at an office, you're getting about 4 or 5 hours worth of work done. So you can boil that down, Yeah, you
take away all the lunch time that you're spending, you take away all the conversation time and all the pointless meetings and stuff, and you're left with like 4 hours.
Absolutely.
So you're being more efficient working remote because you don't have all those distractions.
Yes, but I'm also leveraging my relationships better. So it's like, I've developed relationships. I know the key people. You got to figure out key people within your industry and connect with them, even within your office. Like, I have people in my office, let's say back in Boston, that's where our headquarters is. And I know the people to contact right away to get something done. And I've also figured out little hacks, like I get up super early. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning, and I start my day that way, and I pave the way for success because, once 9 a.m. hits, all these tsunami of fires come, and you're always putting out fires. So it's like, even though you have an agenda or you have a schedule of things that you want to accomplish that day, once 9 a.m. and people shuttle into an office, you're getting phone calls, you're getting emails, and you're putting out fires constantly. So if you can take care of the emails and agenda you want to take before everyone gets into the office, and you send out those emails, because a lot of times you're sending an email and then you got to wait for an hour to hear back from people.
Yeah, and what you said was like, it sounds like you're on a routine, you're on a strict schedule, even though you work remote. And I think that's where a lot of remote workers fall short, is because they don't have this strict routine of waking up at X and then clocking out at X. But you say you wake up at 4.
Yep.
And then what time do you think you actually like start your work day?
About 6, I would say, because I spend about an hour and a half reading and preparing my mind, listening to podcasts or reading a good book, watching your videos on Free Boss Lifestyle, something that I always want to learn. Because if you can learn something and get your mind in the right mood, you're much more prepared to attack the day in a better way. Because let's be honest, most of your workday is consumed with putting out fires.
Yeah, and I look at education as like you're working out. Right?
Absolutely.
It's like a workout for your brain. So you're doing your morning workout, your morning brain workout, and then you're getting into your normal job and your work activities at around 6 a.m.
Yep.
And then other people around the world and the country clock in around 9 a.m.
Right.
So then you're able to have 3 hours of, whatever you want to focus on for work during that time.
Absolutely. And it's just all about, I think, preparing your mind to be prepared for that onslaught of fires that you're putting out. And if you can get all your stuff taken care of early on, and then you send out those emails, make those phone calls, and then you're waiting most of the time for people to get back to you, and then by the time they come back to you, you've already accomplished half your goal. And it's amazing. I found that like between 9, if you can get the email in before 9 a.m., then they read it and they respond to you quicker.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then there's about 11 a.m., people taper off, and then you don't hear from anyone again until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
So you're seeing like the waves of when people are checking their emails and stuff. And you're riding those waves, so if you need a response immediately, then you're sending, that's really smart. So take that note, it's like knowing what waves of communication people have and then kind of playing within those waves to be able to get your responses as fast as possible.
And a lot of it is sales. So I'm contacting clients, customers, and what I found that is if you're one of the first emails in their box or voicemails, or if you call them at 9:25 a.m., I found that usually 9:25 you get a pretty success rate of them answering, because you give them about 15, 20, 25 minutes to get that cup of coffee, get them settled in. If you call them before 9, they're kind of frazzled. No one's ready. And then I found between 9:30, let's say, and 11, you can get a hold of people. And then all of a sudden there's a pitfall in the sales world between 11 and about 1:30. No one wants to answer their phone. I mean, I don't know about you. Like when I call people, sometimes I can call 20 people, and if it's a certain time period, no one's answering. No one wants to answer unless they're fresh in they're ready to answer the phone call.
And it depends on what time zone the people are in that you're calling. Because for me personally, I have a lot of clients that are all over the country and all over the world. Some are in UK, Australia, on the West Coast. I'm over here on the East Coast in Florida. So like I kind of have to time my day knowing that, okay, I can't call that client until it's about 12 p.m. my time, because then it will be only 9 a.m. or 8 a.m., a reasonable time for them on the West Coast.
Absolutely.
But are a lot of your clients here on the East Coast you don't have to worry too much about?
Yeah, most of them are in the Eastern time zone. I do have some in the Central time zone, but like I said, I've developed a pattern finding out when people are most apt to respond to you, and then in those times when they're down between, let's say, 11 and 1, they're kind of worn out. People wear down mentally, and they're not as excited to answer a phone call or to respond to an email, or they're dealing with putting out fires of their own, so they're not getting back to your emails.
Right.
So if you can get them early, if you're one of the first ones early on, make that phone call early in the morning or send that email early, they'll get back to you. But if you get caught in that pitfall between, in my industry, it's between about 11 and 1:30.
So finding that dead zone is pretty important.
Yeah.
So what would you say when let's go back to when you said, like, I hustled hard to go through this transition. Is there any tips or strategies that you would give to somebody that's working in retail or working as a server or at an office job that they really don't like? How can they train their mind to go through this transition and really structure their amount of hustle around that?
And it's critical, and it's going to come back to the word I said before, relationships. You never know who you're dealing with. If you're a server and you're tired and you're not as energetic or enthusiastic as you normally are, you don't know. You could be serving or waiting on someone that could be an executive.
Boss.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you never know who it is. You got to be leveraging every opportunity, and the best part is to have high energy, be energetic, be, building a relationship, talking to people. And people just love to be entertained, or they love to, to create relationships and connect with you. And if you're in the server industry, use that mindset completely. Always be, I would get up early, read maybe a newspaper, or be on top of something that's going on in the world, read a business article, so that your mind is in the right mindset, that when you get there, no matter how crazy and frantic the day gets, you're still composed. Because you prepared your mind to be that way. You prepared your mind to be composed because you've laid a great foundation for the day.
So it sounds like what you're saying. So even if you may be in a dead-end job, you're not too happy with the place that you're at right now. Maybe you're a secretary, or you're a server, or you're working at retail in Macy's, JCPenney, or Ross, or whatever. Take everything that you have and still put it into that job, because just like he's saying about relationships, is that just because you may not be in the happiest place right now, you may be able to leverage some kind of relationships that you've built up right now to be able to take that next leap to your next opportunity, whether it be working remote or just at another job where you may be a little bit happier.
It's the power of who. I read a book one time, The Power of Who. Everyone you need to be successful in your network is already there. So everyone that, if you want to get a different job in a different industry, let's say you are a server and you want to get into advertising. There's a good chance that you're waiting on someone that's either their brother could be the executive at an advertising agency, or they could be the executive of that advertising agency right there that you're waiting on. I mean, you have this incredible opportunity where everyone that you encounter on a daily basis could be someone that could connect you to the next job.
What you're saying is so true, because I know two exact examples. Two of my friends that were servers, and one of them literally, through a relationship that she had with a friend, was able to make that leap from being a server to working at a marketing agency. And then my other friend, literally, he was a server at a high-end dining restaurant, right? So a bunch of wealthy people were coming to that restaurant. He was able to actually business partner up with one of his regulars that would come in. He literally went in on a business partnership with that guy, escaped his restaurant business, his restaurant server life, and became a business owner with that investor, basically. I mean, that person he used to serve on a regular basis was an investor. He supplied the cash, and then he did all this. My buddy that was the server, he did all the sweat and grunt work to get that business going.
And it's amazing, I think, in today's world, especially with social media, and you can create your own identity. You can create your own marketplace. You can create your own brand. And even though if you are working in retail, or you're working as a server in the hospitality industry, you're still creating a brand, and you've got an incredible opportunity because you're interacting with people on a daily basis. And if you leave a mark on them, you leave an impression on them, they're gonna maybe connect with you on Facebook, or connect with you on social media. Or if you let's say you do some like a motivational video vlog or something like that, or interesting thing on Facebook, and you mention that to the person you're serving, you just have a high energy and you have a connection with them, or you're helping them in retail aspect, and they're like, I like you, what do you do?
They see you in a different light. They see you as not necessarily like a typical server. They see you as a server that's aspiring to do greater things. And especially if they're a regular, if they're coming into your restaurant on a regular basis, you're building that relationship with them on a daily or even weekly basis. You're seeing them over and over. There's a high chance that if you wanted to escape your server job, that you can, they can help you escape, basically.
100%. I mean, some of those people pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to try and connect with and try to network with.
That's right.
They maybe go to they give it to a charity, or go to a charitable ball, or a function, just so they can network with people that you're helping and you're working with on a regular basis. And people work sometimes hours upon hours. They make phone calls, dead-end phone calls, and you don't realize it, that you're standing having a conversation with them. And that's priceless opportunities.
So what I teach a lot is learning the skills necessary. If you're a server or you work in retail, you may not necessarily know the skills that you need to have in order to work remote, because you're so trained and ingrained in that manual labor of moving things around and doing this kind of stuff. So did you have to, when you went through your transition of retail to working remote, was there a new set of skills you had to learn?
Not necessarily a new set of skills, but let's not kid ourselves. You're a server. You're not a server. Your job isn't to bring food. You're selling. you're selling constantly. So you're the face of, let's say you're a server at Fleming's. You're the face of Fleming's. You're selling, sell the sizzle, not the steak. You're selling all that, and you're constantly, so like sales, everyone's always in sales. So, I mean, that's one opportunity. And let's be honest, sales is a lot to do with energy, enthusiasm, and relationship building. Yeah. Absolutely. So if you're working with someone and you're not just bringing them food, you're selling them on the experience. And if you can create that experience for them, that's what sales is. Sales is about building relationships, putting people in the emotion to want to buy. People buy 85%, I think I read, based on emotion.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And if they're tipping you,
they purchase emotionally and then they rationalize that purchase logically. So
absolutely.
like, was it on sale? Was it a good deal? Did they really need it? Maybe it was scarcity, limited time offer type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's really big in sales.
And if you can help them out, I mean, if let's say you're in retail, hey, by the way, this is going to be on sale next, you think about helping your client as much as you can. And I mean, even if you're in a server or if you're in retail, you're selling for sure. You're selling whatever product you're selling. Yeah. So but you're also selling yourself. First and foremost, you're selling yourself. If you're a server in food, you're working for that tip. I mean, think about that. Most people always want to find a way to minimize what they pay. They have a coupon. They want to get a discount. This, that. But when it comes to the tip, I mean, sometimes people go over that 15%, 20% mark, and they go 25% mark, and that's what you're selling. And so you have that skill already, and you just don't realize it that you're selling. I mean, and that's one of the most valuable skills that you can have, I think, in a 2017 economy is sales.
Yeah, for sure. And so what I'm really wanting to teach people is copywriting, right?
Yeah.
And because copywriting for me and how I see it is like it's the foundation of business. Your copywriting, how great your copy is, will be the messaging on how your company is communicating with its audience. And when you're running your ads and when you're running your video campaigns, your video ads and stuff, it all stems from copy and a great script. And on your landing pages, you have that copy. So if you just master sales copy, if you first master selling, then you master sales copy, then you can pretty much, help any business market in a massive way.
Absolutely. I think in today's economy, the same thing. If you do a job that can be automated, you're not gonna be a valuable employee or a valuable entrepreneur in today's economy. But if you can do something that's creative, sales, copywriting. 10 years ago, if you were a good writer, you went into journalism. Now you go into copywriting, and you got to learn that aspect because it comes back to the emotion. When you're not just writing, hey, come and buy this product. You got to create an emotion because you got to have an emotional connection, and words do that. Or speaking on a video, that makes all the difference. Creating that emotion, setting it up with copywriting.
Right, for sure. So let's kind of wrap things up with one final tip. How would you say one main thing that you've learned as a remote worker, whether it's this one thing taught you how to become a remote worker or to be the most effective? What would you say is that one thing that is really the game changer for you that people need to know about?
It's twofold, but it's one thing: discipline.
Yeah,
that's the power of habit.
100%.
It's discipline. I know so many people that it's very intoxicating and alluring when you work remotely. Hey, let me turn on ESPN this morning. Let me check the highlights.
Let me sleep until 11 a.m.
Oh, absolutely.
12. Yeah.
But if you create a habit, you get up early. Believe me, I did not get up early. I created a habit. It was a lot of hard work. But if you create habits and stack them, little successes, and you got to have successes every single day. Even if it is just writing a small blog post, or mailing a letter off to a potential client, or reaching out to somebody. If you build on little successes daily, then you become more successful, and it fuels you.
And it becomes easier to be self-disciplined because you have those habits, you have that routine. So then it's not so much like even self-discipline. It's just like, I go to the gym every day, so it's just a part of my routine. I just go.
Right.
When in the beginning, to create those habits, that's where it takes the most amount of self-discipline. And so I 150,000% agree that self-discipline is the main key ingredient in becoming successful in life, but also in becoming a remote worker and being a free boss, being free to work when and where you want to.
And you never know, even though you may not be in the position that you want to be in currently, you still have to be creating that habit and stacking little successes, because when that opportunity comes across, you got to be ready to strike. You got to be ready to, if you are meeting someone or connecting with someone in a powerful position that could lead to that opportunity that you wanted to flex on, you got to be able to ready to strike. And you can't be like, well, now I'm going to tell this person that I'm going to build this course on teaching people how to copyright after you met a copyright editor. You have to have already written or built that course more or less in your mind and got it all ready so that you can be like, hey, by the way, I built this course, check it out.
If people want to learn more about what you preach, where can they find out more information about you?
The biggest thing, Win It Minute. Check it out, winitminute.com, Facebook, The Win It Minute, YouTube, wherever you want, wherever you consume your social media, Twitter, Instagram. But it's just all about creating daily habits to be successful. And that's where The Win It Minute was born out of, is to inspire you with little quotes and just little reading materials. If you don't want to go out and search the web yourself for inspirational articles or inspirational videos, I got it all right there. And I make them daily. And that's where my habits became out of, is that I started researching positive psychology and way to build great habits. And then the best way to build a routine or habit is to actually do it yourself. It's like, I can tell you all I want and try to teach you about doing copywriting, but until you actually start copywriting, until you start trying to teach someone copywriting, you don't really know it.
Right. You got to be shooting the basketball in order to learn basketball. You can't just read everything about basketball.
Absolutely. Yep.
So go to Facebook, search in the search bar, Win It Minute.
Yep.
Give his page a like. If you're not yet a member of Free Boss Lifestyle, the group, go to freebosslifestyle.com and join our group. And thank you so much for watching. We hope we were able to bring you some value, and we will see you in the next one.
Win the day the Free Boss way!